The autumn sunlight streamed through the windows of room 204 at Meadowbrook High School, casting long shadows across the polished floor. Miss Patricia Wright stood at the front of her advanced physics class, her graying hair pulled back in a severe bun as she wrote equations on the whiteboard. Her thin lips pursed together as she turned to face her students, her gaze immediately falling on Destiny Carter, who sat quietly in the third row. "Now, who can tell me the solution to this quantum mechanics problem?" Ms. Wright asked, tapping her marker against the board. Several hands shot up, but she ignored them, focusing instead on Destiny, who hadn't raised her hand. "Ms. Carter, since you seem so disinterested in today's lesson, perhaps you'd like to share your thoughts." Destiny looked up from her notebook, where she had been working on complex calculations far beyond the scope of the day's lesson. Her dark eyes met Ms. Wright's challenging stare without flinching. "The equation as written is incomplete," she said softly but clearly. "It doesn't account for quantum entanglement effects at the macro level." A few students turned to look at her with surprise. Ms. Wright's face reddened slightly. "Excuse me?" she said, her voice taking on a sharp edge. "Are you suggesting that I've made a mistake?" "Not exactly," Destiny replied, pulling out a sheet of paper covered in neat calculations. "I just think there's more to consider. See, if we factor in the—" "That's quite enough," Ms. Wright cut her off. "I don't need a lecture from someone who barely pays attention in class. Perhaps if you spent more time focusing on the actual curriculum instead of whatever nonsense you're always scribbling in that notebook, you'd understand the basics better." Lisa Martinez, sitting next to Destiny, winced at the teacher's tone. She had seen Destiny's work. It was brilliant, far beyond what they were learning in class. But like the others, she remained silent, not wanting to become Ms. Wright's next target. "The basics are clear," Destiny responded calmly, though her hands trembled slightly as she tucked her papers away. "I just think we should consider the broader implications." "What you think," Ms. Wright interrupted again, "is not relevant to this discussion. I have 20 years of teaching experience and 2 degrees in physics. What do you have? Some internet articles and an attitude problem." The class fell completely silent. Everyone knew this wasn't the first time Ms. Wright had singled out Destiny, but it seemed to be getting worse as the semester progressed. "Now," Ms. Wright continued, turning back to the board, "let's have someone else answer. Kevin, what do you think?" Kevin Bennett, a blond boy in the front row, gave the answer Ms. Wright wanted to hear, though his voice was uncertain and his solution less comprehensive than what Destiny had started to explain. Ms. Wright beamed at him. "Excellent work. See, class, this is what happens when you follow the proper methods." Destiny said nothing, but opened her notebook again and continued her calculations. She was working on something that could change humanity's understanding of quantum mechanics, but she knew Ms. Wright wouldn't believe her even if she explained it. The teacher had made up her mind about Destiny long ago, and nothing seemed likely to change it. During the rest of the class, Ms. Wright made several more pointed remarks, each one clearly aimed at Destiny. When discussing scientific pioneers, she emphasized European contributions while dismissing or ignoring other cultures' achievements. When collecting homework, she made a show of checking Destiny's work more carefully than anyone else's. "Ms. Carter," she said loudly, holding up Destiny's paper, "I see you've once again gone off on unnecessary tangents. The assignment was to solve the given problems, not create your own." She placed the paper down with exaggerated care. "See me after class." After the bell rang, most students hurried out, though a few lingered, casting sympathetic glances at Destiny as she approached Ms. Wright's desk. Lisa hesitated at the door, but Destiny gave her a small smile and a nod, indicating she would be fine. "Ms. Carter," Ms. Wright began, shuffling papers on her desk without looking up, "I'm growing concerned about your performance in this class. While you seem to think you know better than your textbook, your actual understanding of the material appears lacking." "My understanding is fine," Destiny replied quietly. "I can demonstrate." "That's exactly the attitude I'm talking about," Ms. Wright snapped, finally looking up. "This constant challenge to authority, this insistence on doing things your own way, it's not going to serve you well in life. Science requires discipline, structure, and respect for established methods." "Science also requires innovation and new perspectives," Destiny countered, her voice still calm but firm. "The greatest discoveries came from people who thought differently." Ms. Wright's lips thinned even further. I'm going to be honest with you, Destiny. I'm not sure this advanced class is the right place for you. Perhaps you'd be more comfortable in regular physics, where the pace is more suitable. Destiny felt her heart race, but kept her expression neutral. She knew what Ms. Wright really meant. It wasn't about the pace at all. I belong in this class, she stated simply. My grades are among the highest, even with your strict grading. Grades aren't everything, Ms. Wright replied. There's also attitude, approach, and ability to work within established frameworks. I'll be speaking with the guidance counselor about moving you to a more appropriate level. Destiny took a deep breath, gathering her strength. You can't move me without my mother's permission, she said. And she won't give it. We'll see about that, Ms. Wright said dismissively. You may go now. As Destiny walked out of the classroom, she felt a mixture of anger and determination. She knew she could fight this. Her grades were excellent, and she had documentation of all her advanced work. But part of her wanted to tell Ms. Wright exactly who her mother was, to see the look on the teacher's face when she realized who she'd been treating so poorly. But no, she had promised her mom she'd keep that information private. Dr. Amara Carter's position was classified, and Destiny understood the importance of secrecy. Besides, she wanted to succeed on her own merits, not because of who her mother was. Lisa was waiting for her in the hallway. You okay? She asked, falling into step beside Destiny. Yeah, Destiny replied, managing a small smile. Nothing new. She's wrong, you know, Lisa said fiercely. Everyone knows you're the smartest person in that class. The stuff you understand, it's amazing. Like that theory you were telling me about last week, about quantum fields and macro-level effects. Destiny's smile became more genuine. Thanks. Sometimes I think about showing her my full research, but, she trailed off, shaking her head. She wouldn't understand it anyway, Lisa finished. Hey, want to grab lunch? My mom packed extra cookies. As they headed to the cafeteria, Destiny thought about the equations in her notebook. She was close to something big, something that could change everything. Somewhere out there in the vast universe, she knew others had already figured it out. She just had to prove it here on Earth. Little did Ms. Wright know that her attempts to diminish one student's light would soon be overshadowed by events that would shake the foundations of human understanding. But for now, Destiny Carter simply walked to lunch with her friend, carrying in her backpack calculations that would one day help save humanity. Calculations her physics teacher had dismissed as nonsense. The autumn sun continued to shine through the windows of Meadowbrook High School, marking the shadows of an ordinary day that was merely the prelude to extraordinary events to come. Dr. Amara Carter stood in her private office at the Global Space Defense Initiative headquarters, staring at the holographic display that filled the air before her. The strange signals they had detected 3 months ago were growing stronger. Her team had finally decoded enough of the message to know one thing for certain. Earth wasn't alone, and first contact was coming sooner than anyone had expected. Her phone buzzed with a message from Destiny. Reading it, her face darkened with concern. This wasn't the first time her daughter had mentioned problems with Ms. Wright, but things seemed to be escalating. She wanted to step in, to put that prejudiced teacher in her place, but she had promised Destiny she would let her handle it. Dr. Carter? Her assistant, Paul Miller, appeared at the door. The Joint Chiefs are ready for your briefing. Thank you, Paul. She took a deep breath, straightening her uniform. As she walked toward the conference room, her mind drifted back to when she'd first taken this position. Destiny had been the one to suggest keeping it quiet at school, wanting to avoid special treatment or unwanted attention. The conference room was filled with military brass and government officials when she entered. Good afternoon, she began, activating the room's holographic system. As you can see, the signals are no longer just random bursts, they're forming patterns, sophisticated ones. Back at Meadowbrook High, Destiny sat in the library during her free period, working on her research. She'd managed to avoid Ms. Wright for the rest of the day, but she knew tomorrow would bring more of the same. Still, she couldn't let that distract her from her work. The equations were coming together, pointing to something remarkable about the nature of space-time itself. Lisa joined her at the table, sliding into a chair quietly. Hey, you never told me what happened with Wright yesterday after I left. Destiny sighed, putting down her pencil. She wants to move me to regular physics. Says I'm not suitable for advanced placement. What? Lisa's voice rose, earning a sharp look from the librarian. She lowered her voice to a whisper. She can't do that. Your work is way beyond anyone else in class. Even Mr. Rogers from the college program said so when he visited. She thinks she can. Destiny replied, turning back to her calculations. But she'll need my mom's permission, and that's not happening. I wish your mom would come to school and set her straight, Lisa said, pulling out her own homework. What does she do again? You never really talk about her work. Destiny carefully kept her expression neutral. She works for the government. Science stuff. It wasn't exactly a lie, just a very simplified version of the truth. At that moment, the library door opened, and Ms. Wright walked in, heading straight for their table. Miss Carter, she said, her voice carrying across the quiet space. I've spoken with Mr. Davidson about moving you to regular physics. He agrees it might be best. Destiny looked up slowly. Did you show him my test scores? My project work? The recommendations from last year's teachers? Ms. Wright's lips tightened. Your technical scores aren't the issue. It's about fitting in with the academic environment. Some students simply aren't ready for advanced studies, regardless of their test results. Lisa opened her mouth to protest, but Destiny touched her arm gently, stopping her. My mother will need to approve any schedule changes, she said calmly. Maybe we should set up a meeting with her to discuss it. Something flickered across Ms. Wright's face. Anticipation, perhaps? She probably thought she could intimidate Destiny's mother the same way she tried to intimidate her students. Yes, I think that would be best. I'll have the office call to arrange it. After Ms. Wright left, Lisa turned to Destiny. Your mom will destroy her, right? Destiny couldn't help smiling slightly. Mom can be impressive when she needs to be. That was an understatement. Dr. Amara Carter had faced down a room full of generals, argued with world leaders, and was currently preparing humanity for its first alien contact. A prejudiced high school teacher wouldn't stand a chance. Meanwhile, at GSDI headquarters, Dr. Carter was concluding her briefing. The signals suggest they'll arrive within months, not years as we initially thought. We need to accelerate our preparations. Do we have any idea what they want? Asked General Rogers, leaning forward in his chair. The decoded messages mention a threat, she replied, bringing up a new hologram. Something they say affects multiple galaxies. They seem to be warning us, but also offering help. As the meeting ended, she checked her phone again. Seeing another message from Destiny about Ms. Wright's latest actions, she finally made a decision. She respected her daughter's wish to handle things on her own, but enough was enough. Back at school, the final bell rang, and students began filing out. Destiny packed up her research carefully, making sure none of her papers were left behind. As she walked toward her locker, she overheard two teachers talking about strange readings from the school's small observatory. The instruments must be malfunctioning, one was saying. These energy signatures make no sense. Destiny paused, her hand tightening on her backpack strap. She knew exactly what those readings meant. She'd seen similar data in her mother's office. The visitors were getting closer. That evening, as Destiny sat at her desk at home, working on her calculations, her mother knocked on her bedroom door. Can we talk? Destiny nodded, and Dr. Carter sat on the edge of the bed. I know you wanted to handle the situation with Ms. Wright yourself, she began, but I'm concerned about what this is doing to you. Mom, I can handle it. Destiny insisted, though her voice wavered slightly. I know you can, baby. You're stronger than I was at your age. Dr. Carter smiled softly, but you shouldn't have to handle it. What she's doing is wrong, and it needs to stop. Before Destiny could respond, both their phones buzzed with an alert from GSDI. Dr. Carter read it and stood quickly. The signals? They're changing. I need to get to headquarters. Destiny looked at her own phone, where she'd been running calculations based on the data her mother had shared with her. Mom, she said urgently, according to my equations, these new readings suggest that they're entering our solar system. Dr. Carter finished. I know. Your work helped us figure that out weeks ago, even if my team doesn't know it yet. As her mother hurried to leave, Destiny called after her. What about Ms. Wright? Dr. Carter paused at the door, a slight smile playing on her lips. Don't worry about that. I have a feeling she'll be learning some important lessons very soon. After her mother left, Destiny returned to her calculations. The numbers were clear. Earth was about to face something unprecedented, something that would change everything. And despite what Ms. Wright thought, Destiny understood exactly what was coming. She looked out her window at the night sky, wondering if she could spot any signs of their approaching visitors. Soon, everyone would know the truth about the aliens, about her mother's work, and about just how wrong Ms. Wright had been to underestimate her. But for now, Destiny Carter simply continued her work, her pencil moving across paper as she refined the calculations that would help save humanity, even as the teachers at her school dismissed them as the scribblings of a student who didn't belong in advanced physics. The stars twinkled overhead, bearing witness to the calm before a storm that would transform not just Destiny's life, but all of human civilization. And somewhere in that vast darkness, their visitors were drawing ever closer. The morning started like any other at Meadowbrook High School. Destiny sat in her usual seat in physics class, trying to ignore Ms. Wright's pointed comments. The teacher was in the middle of explaining basic orbital mechanics when every phone in the classroom suddenly blared with an emergency alert. Ms. Wright frowned, reaching for her own phone. "Turn those off immediately," she began, but stopped as she read the message. Her face paled. The school's intercom system crackled to life. "Attention all students and staff. Please remain calm and stay in your current locations. We are implementing emergency protocols. This is not a drill." Through the classroom windows, students could see strange lights in the morning sky. Several massive shapes moved silently above the clouds, their surfaces reflecting the sunlight like polished metal. "Those can't be planes," Lisa whispered, gripping her desk tightly. Ms. Wright tried to maintain control of the situation. "Everyone stay in your seats. I'm sure there's a perfectly rational explanation." The classroom's smartboard suddenly activated on its own, displaying a message in glowing blue text. "Greetings, Earth. We are the Venturi. We come seeking alliance in the face of grave danger." More text appeared. "We request immediate dialogue with Earth's leadership regarding the quantum anomaly threatening this sector of space." The class erupted in frightened whispers. Ms. Wright's attempts to restore order were interrupted by another message on the board. "Our scans indicate the presence of advanced theoretical physics work in this building. We detect calculations relating to cross-dimensional quantum mechanics." Destiny's heart raced. She knew those were her calculations they had somehow detected. Before she could decide what to do, Ms. Wright spoke up. "That's ridiculous," she declared, her voice shaking slightly. "This is a high school physics class. We deal with basic principles only. There's nothing advanced here." New text appeared. "Our scans are precise. The work we detect shows remarkable understanding of the threat we face. We wish to speak with the one responsible." Ms. Wright laughed nervously. "This must be some kind of prank. Advanced theoretical physics in my classroom. I would know if—" "It's my work," Destiny said quietly, standing up. "The calculations they're detecting, they're mine." The class fell silent. Ms. Wright's face reddened. "Sit down, Ms. Carter. This is hardly the time for your attention-seeking behavior." But before she could continue, the smartboard displayed new text. "Destiny Carter. Yes, your calculations match our own findings. Your understanding of quantum field theory at macro levels is impressive for your species' current development stage." Ms. Wright's mouth opened and closed soundlessly as more text appeared. "We have also been in contact with Dr. Amara Carter regarding these matters. She speaks highly of your work." The color drained from Ms. Wright's face. "Dr. Amara Carter, the director of the Global Space Defense Initiative. What does she have to do with—" "She's my mother," Destiny said simply. The silence in the classroom grew deeper. Outside, the enormous ships had moved closer, now clearly visible through the windows. Their surfaces shimmered with patterns of light that seemed to defy physics. Suddenly, every screen in the classroom displayed the same image. Dr. Amara Carter in her GSDI uniform, speaking from what appeared to be a command center. "Attention citizens of Earth," she began, her voice calm and authoritative. "As director of the Global Space Defense Initiative, I can confirm that we are experiencing first contact with an advanced alien civilization known as the Venturi. They have come to warn us about a cosmic threat and offer their assistance. Please remain calm and stay in your current locations unless instructed otherwise by emergency services." The students stared at the screen, then at Destiny, then back at the screen. The resemblance between Destiny and her mother was unmistakable. Ms. Wright had sunk into her chair, her face ashen. "All this time," she whispered. "All those calculations you were working on were exactly what I said they were," Destiny finished. "Advanced theoretical physics dealing with quantum mechanics at the macro level, just like I tried to explain in class last week when you said I was making things up." The smart board lit up again. "Destiny Carter, we require your presence at the GSDI headquarters. Your insights into quantum field manipulations could be crucial in addressing the approaching anomaly." Before anyone could respond, a new sound filled the air: helicopter rotors. Through the windows, students could see several military helicopters landing in the school's football field. "That would be my ride," Destiny said quietly, gathering her notebooks. She paused at Ms. Wright's desk on her way out. "For the record, I didn't want special treatment. That's why I never mentioned who my mother was. I wanted to be judged on my own merit." Ms. Wright couldn't meet her eyes. The teacher who had been so confident in her dismissal of Destiny's abilities now sat silent, watching as her student walked toward humanity's first contact with an alien civilization. As Destiny reached the door, she turned back one last time. "And Ms. Wright? Those unnecessary tangents you marked wrong on my last homework. They were actually the beginnings of my calculations about quantum field theory. The same calculations that just got the attention of an advanced alien species." Lisa jumped up from her seat. "Can I come with you?" Destiny smiled at her friend. "Better stay here for now, but I'll text you later, assuming the world doesn't end." The class watched through the windows as Destiny walked across the campus toward the waiting helicopters. Above, the Venturi ships created patterns in the sky that seemed to bend reality itself. In the classroom, Ms. Wright stared at the physics equations on her board. Simple formulas that now seemed childishly basic compared to the work she had been dismissing all semester. The intercom crackled again. "Attention all students and staff. Due to the current global situation, classes are suspended until further notice. Please remain calm and follow emergency protocols." But nobody moved. They'd all stayed at the windows, watching as the helicopter lifted off with Destiny inside, heading toward a meeting that would change the course of human history. And in her chair, Ms. Wright sat silently, contemplating how badly she had misjudged the quiet girl who had tried so hard to share her knowledge, only to be dismissed because of prejudice and preconceptions. Above them all, the Venturi ships continued their silent vigil, waiting to share the knowledge that would either save humanity or reveal its destruction. The GSDI headquarters buzzed with activity as Destiny walked through its corridors beside her mother. Military personnel and scientists rushed past them, carrying tablets filled with data about the Venturi ships now hovering above every major city on Earth. "Are you ready for this?" Dr. Carter asked, looking at her daughter with concern and pride. Destiny clutched her notebooks tighter. "I think so. It's just strange. This morning I was sitting in physics class being told I didn't understand basic concepts. Now I'm about to meet aliens who actually understand my work." They entered the main conference room, where military leaders, scientists, and government officials sat around a large table. At the far end, 3 holographic figures shimmered in the air, the Venturi representatives. They appeared humanoid, but were composed of swirling patterns of light and energy. Dr. Carter, one of the Venturi, spoke, its voice resonating strangely in the room. "And young Destiny Carter, your calculations have drawn our attention. The quantum anomaly you discovered," another Venturi continued, "is part of a larger threat, one that has already destroyed several civilizations." Back at Meadowbrook High, Ms. Wright sat alone in her classroom, watching the news coverage on the smartboard. Every channel showed the massive alien ships and discussed the mysterious threat they had come to warn about. She thought about all the times she had dismissed Destiny's work, all the snide comments and poor grades she had given for going off topic. The classroom door opened, and Principal Stevens entered. "Patricia, we need to talk about your treatment of Destiny Carter." Ms. Wright nodded slowly. "I know, I was completely wrong about her. It's more serious than that," the principal said, placing a folder on her desk. "We've received complaints about your pattern of discriminatory behavior. The school board will be reviewing your position." At GSDI headquarters, Destiny stood before a holographic display, explaining her calculations to the assembled group. The quantum anomaly creates a cascade effect, she said, her voice growing more confident as she spoke. It's like a wave of altered physics, changing the fundamental forces that hold reality together. Precisely, the first Venturi confirmed. Your understanding of quantum mechanics at such a young age is remarkable. Many of our scientists took decades to reach similar conclusions. Dr. Carter watched proudly as her daughter explained complex physics concepts to some of the world's leading scientists and alien visitors. Each time someone questioned her work, Destiny calmly walked them through her reasoning, just as she had tried to do in Ms. Wright's class. The anomaly will reach Earth's solar system in approximately 6 months, one of the Venturi explained. Without intervention, it will destroy everything in its path. But my calculations show a possible solution, Destiny said, pulling out her notebook, the same one Ms. Wright had so often criticized her for writing in during class. If we can create a quantum field barrier using these equations. She wrote a series of complex formulas on a digital board. The Venturi representatives moved closer, their light patterns shifting with what seemed to be excitement. Yes, they said in unison. This could work. With our technology and your theoretical framework, we might be able to save this sector of space. Meanwhile, Lisa had convinced her parents to drive her to the GSDI headquarters. They waited outside with other gathered crowds, watching the Venturi ships perform strange maneuvers in the sky. My best friend is in there, Lisa told anyone who would listen. She understood all of this months ago, but our physics teacher wouldn't listen to her. News reporters had picked up the story. Headlines flashed across screens worldwide. High school students' physics theories key to Earth's survival, and brilliant young scientists helps alien visitors save Earth. Inside the conference room, military leaders were discussing the logistics of building the quantum barrier. We'll need international cooperation, General Rogers said. Every nation working together. And we'll need more young minds like Destiny's, Dr. Carter added. Students who think differently, who aren't afraid to challenge conventional wisdom. The Venturi agreed. Your educational systems must evolve. Innovation comes from encouraging new perspectives, not suppressing them. Back at school, Ms. Wright watched as maintenance staff packed up her classroom. Her resignation had been accepted immediately. As she placed her teaching awards in a box, she noticed Destiny's latest homework assignment, the one she had marked down for not following proper procedures. Reading it now, she finally understood the brilliant insights she had dismissed. Principal Stevens appeared at the door again. The school board has decided to create a new advanced science program, he said. One that encourages innovative thinking and welcomes diverse perspectives. We'll need to find a teacher who can actually recognize and nurture talent. Ms. Wright nodded sadly, picking up her box. As she walked to her car, she passed students excitedly discussing the alien ships and Destiny's role in saving humanity. The same students who had sat silently while she belittled their classmates' intelligence now proudly claimed they had always known Destiny was brilliant. At GSDI headquarters, the meetings continued late into the night. Destiny worked alongside the Venturi and Earth's top scientists, refining her calculations and helping plan humanity's defense against the quantum anomaly. Your daughter is extraordinary, one of the Venturi told Dr. Carter privately. She represents the best potential of your species, the ability to see beyond established limits and imagine new possibilities. Dr. Carter smiled. I just wish certain people had seen that sooner. As the sun set over the city, casting strange shadows through the Venturi ships, Destiny took a moment to check her phone. She had dozens of messages from classmates, including several apologies from students who had witnessed Ms. Wright's behavior but never spoken up. The last message was from Lisa. You're all over the news. And guess what? Ms. Wright resigned. Turns out the school doesn't want teachers who discriminate against students who are smarter than they are. Destiny looked up from her phone at the room full of scientists, military leaders, and alien visitors all working together to implement her theories. She thought about Ms. Wright, who had been so certain she knew the limits of what a student could achieve. Ready to continue? Her mother asked, touching her shoulder gently. Destiny nodded, turning back to the equations that would help save humanity. She had always known she belonged in advanced physics. Now, finally, everyone else knew it too. 3 months after the Venturi's arrival, Meadowbrook High School had changed dramatically. The old physics classroom now featured advanced holographic displays, donated by the GSDI. Where Ms. Wright's basic equation posters once hung, complex quantum field diagrams now decorated the walls. Destiny stood at the front of the room, beside her mother and two Ventura representatives. The classroom was packed with students, teachers, and news cameras. This was the official launch of the Global Youth Science Initiative, a program designed to identify and nurture young minds that thought outside traditional boundaries. 6 months ago, I sat in this room being told I didn't belong in advanced physics, Destiny began, her voice steady and clear. Today, I'm here to make sure that never happens to another student. Dr. Carter stepped forward. The Quantum Barrier Project is proceeding ahead of schedule, thanks to the combined efforts of Earth scientists and the Venturi. But more importantly, this crisis has taught us a valuable lesson about overlooking potential because of prejudice. In the back of the room, Lisa beamed proudly. She had been appointed student representative for the new program, helping identify classmates whose unique perspectives might have been previously dismissed. The Ventura representatives moved forward, their light patterns creating beautiful displays on the classroom walls. Your species has much to offer the galactic community, they said. But first, you must learn to recognize and nurture talent in all its forms. Principal Stevens nodded from his place near the door. The school board's investigation into discriminatory practices had led to major changes across the district. New teachers had been hired, specifically chosen for their ability to encourage innovative thinking. Outside the school, construction crews worked on the new Quantum Research Center being built where the old football field had been. The Venturi had chosen Meadowbrook as the site for one of Earth's first quantum barrier generators, turning the school into a symbol of humanity's advancement. Later that afternoon, Destiny visited the local coffee shop where Ms. Wright now worked. The former teacher looked up as she entered, her face showing surprise and shame. "Hello, Ms. Wright," Destiny said softly. "Destiny," Ms. Wright replied, her voice quiet. "I've been watching the news. Your work. It's amazing. I should have seen it sooner." "That's actually why I'm here," Destiny said. "The new science program needs teachers who have learned from their mistakes, who understand the importance of looking past their own biases." Ms. Wright's eyes widened. "Are you offering me a chance to teach again?" "To learn first, then teach," Destiny corrected. "The Venturi have agreed to train Earth educators in advanced physics. If you're willing to admit your mistakes and truly change, there might be a place for you." Tears formed in Ms. Wright's eyes. "I was so wrong about you, about so many things. I let my prejudices blind me to true brilliance." "The quantum anomaly will reach Earth in 3 months," Destiny said. "When it does, humanity will need every capable mind working together, regardless of their past mistakes." That evening, at the GSDI headquarters, Destiny stood with her mother watching the sunset through the quantum barrier's test field. The air shimmered with geometric patterns of energy, beautiful and strange. "Do you think Ms. Wright will accept the offer?" Dr. Carter asked. "I hope so," Destiny replied. "Everyone deserves a chance to learn and grow. That's what education should be about." The Venturi ships above cast dancing lights across the city as they maintained their protective watch over Earth. In labs and classrooms around the world, young scientists who had once been dismissed as dreamers or troublemakers were now leading humanity's efforts to survive the approaching threat. Lisa joined them on the observation deck, carrying a tablet filled with new student applications for the science program. "You won't believe some of the ideas these kids have," she said excitedly. "One girl in Kansas has a theory about quantum entanglement that even the Venturi find interesting." "See?" Destiny smiled. "Brilliance can come from anywhere, if we just take the time to look and listen." As night fell, the quantum barrier test field glowed brighter, its protective energy radiating outward. In 3 months, it would face its greatest test, but Earth was ready. Humanity had learned its lesson about prejudice and potential, about the danger of dismissing new ideas simply because of who presented them. The old Meadowbrook High School sign had been replaced with a new one, Meadowbrook Institute for Quantum Studies and Advanced Sciences. Below it, a smaller plaque read, "Where every mind matters, every voice counts, and innovation knows no bounds." Inside the building, Ms. Wright sat in a classroom once again, this time as a student, learning from Venturi teachers about the true nature of physics and her own prejudices. Her journey from close-minded teacher to humble learner was just beginning. Destiny's notebooks, once dismissed as distractions, were now being studied by scientists worldwide. Her equations had not only helped save humanity, but had also opened doors for countless other brilliant minds who might have otherwise been silenced. As the stars appeared above the quantum barrier's shimmer, Destiny thought about that day in physics class when everything changed. The universe had sent humanity a powerful message. Progress comes not from enforcing limitations, but from breaking through them. Ready for tomorrow's lecture? Dr. Carter asked. Destiny had been invited to speak at the United Nations about the importance of inclusive education in sciences. Ready, Destiny replied, watching the Venturi ships dance through the night sky. After all, you never know where the next world-saving idea might come from. The quantum barrier pulsed with energy, protecting Earth from the approaching anomaly. But the real protection for humanity's future lay in the lessons learned. That brilliance comes in all forms, that prejudice blinds us to potential, and that sometimes the student who doesn't quite fit in might just be the one who saves the world. The end.